This is going to be an edition of One Play Wednesday that's a little different. It's not necessarily about a particular player. There will be a half sack here. I think it's a 3rd and 2 for Washington against the Bears this past week. And this is not an attempt to focus on necessarily a particular player. This is an attempt to illustrate how people play team defense and talk about formations, how they're used to attack defenses or how offenses try to use them to attack defenses, and then how defenses can use safeties to retain the coverage call pre-snap and still put themselves in good position. So this is going to be a look at a 3rd and 2, I believe. And I'm not here to advocate how good the Bears defense is overall. I'm not here to talk about the level of play of any particular player overall in the grand scheme of things this year. I'm here to show you how a connected defense, one that communicates, one that is aware of everyone else's job, can stop even the, quote, modern offensive system. So I'm going to pull this back a couple times. Watch the inside linebacker whose feet are on the top hash communicate to the other inside backer as soon as they get motion. Also, Jaquan Brisker is stepping down here as a safety, and this corner's not adjusting at all on this motion. Well, why not? Well, they're staying in zone, but the problem is it doesn't end up being zone post-snap. Pre-snap, you got bunch. Typically, you'd have a man coverage on this backside. Maybe you've got man on the back with a running back, and then maybe you're zoning it up top with those 3 guys, and then that fourth, what looks like nickel defender to me. So teams will line up in trips or bunch to one side, and since it's bunch, the receivers are close to the left tackle, so they're able to motion over to the other side easily. So if you do have zone or you do have man, you can kind of figure out the coverage for your quarterback by sending someone in motion. We all know that at this point, right? We've seen that analyzed and explained on broadcast television. But what the Bears are doing is they're just going to play man with Jaquan Brisker. He's just going to drop down and take this guy who goes in motion. I think he runs a wheel. And then the corner who was originally lined up over number 1, could have been cover 2, could have been man, could have been any number of split field coverage calls. He's just going to stay man on the X. I'm going to run this back a couple times just so you can see those 2 guys covering. Lining up in a 2-high safety structure gives you the ability to kind of let everybody else stay stationary on the motion. Now, these 2 linebackers did move over, but you didn't get like this thing that like the Bengals will do where one of the linebackers will run out with this guy in motion, and you keep your 2-high safety structure. The Bears here have a 2-high safety structure. They get motion, and then they just kind of sky Jaquan Brisker down. And I have a video coming out on Jaquan Brisker tonight or tomorrow, one of my favorite players coming out of Penn State. And then look how they've covered this. You've got the wheel. Brisker is down here covering it extremely well. Got the guy blanketed. You got the number 1 receiver whose stem is, vertical between the top of the numbers and the hash. He's being covered by the corner. And then the remaining slot or inside tight end is running this hide concept. Quarterback's going to mesh with the running back and then kick out here to the same side as the mesh. So you have this like inverted speed option type look where if this was the quarterback, he could pitch the ball back to the pitch man. But this is the inverted version of it where that's what the hide concept is. He can throw it to the guy in the flats. Well, how do the Bears cover it? Watch these linebackers. Watch 56. He recognizes the scheme. He could be reading the H-back across from him. So he could be cross-reading this H-back. Doesn't look like he is, but he sees him because he definitely reacts to him, gets his hands on him. I'm letting this run back multiple times. Hopefully it's not annoying for you guys. And then once he realizes, okay, now I've got the quarterback has a threat, let me go ahead and go get him, the other inside linebacker takes him over. So what I'm saying is this is the front side inside linebacker. He's going to leave, and he's going to go challenge Wentz. Then this other inside linebacker is going to take over the hide route. Now, he actually kind of overruns it a little bit, but it's still illustrative of a connected defense, one that's connected, one that moves together. This kind of reminds me in some ways of NBA defenses, whereby the ball is on one side of the field, gets swung over to the other side, and the players move together in unison. Kind of like when teams run like a pick and roll, get the ball to the corner, or maybe the high post, and people move in unison, and then the ball is swung back to the other side, where presumably, because you kind of had a 4-on-3 after the pick and roll, especially if they trap, presumably with a 4-on-3, that second pass out of the pick and roll, out of the trap, is going to find someone open. Sometimes it's a third pass, but this to me looks like a really good example of connected group of guys covering up all aspects of the play, because you've got the possibility of the handoff to the running back, and this D end is running down the line. So if Wentz is reading him on this 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, if he is reading him, this is the correct read. Keeping the football. 55 I'm talking about. Okay, I'll pull that back and run it one more time. So 55 is going down the line of scrimmage. So then the front side inside linebacker is just essentially replacing him. When Wentz goes out to threaten the edge, he's essentially replacing that D end as what's called the QB contain player, the guy who has to contain the quarterback, and he does so. Prior to doing that, though, he locks up this tight end, this H-back, for a moment, impedes his route, and then the backside inside linebacker is able to take him over, and you get what looks like a split sack. You never split sacks into thirds, but this looks like an example of one that could be. All right, so last piece of this, the modern game with all the rules, you can't be physical. Watch how physical these guys are. You got a guy getting his hands on the X, impeding his route. He actually carries him to like 7 yards, I think, physically, maybe even longer than that. So if you're one of those people who enjoys the soft nature of the NFL now, then you can advocate for a holding call there. Go right ahead. As this guy's running the wheel, at the bottom of the screen, Jaquan Brisker is a little handsy with him, but not nearly as physical as that corner. Definitely does grab him, though, a moment ago. I don't know if you saw it right there. And then watch the frontside inside linebacker when he loops out here to take the Y hide. I mean, he literally gets in the way of his route. That looks very similar to NBA basketball defense to me, where a guy is trying to go down the lane or go baseline, and you just move your feet, you get your chest, your hips, and your chin right in front of him, and you impede his progress. It's great defense. Up here, you've got the backside, I think, Z receiver who was on the line, the point man, and he's got somebody being physical with him. I love when teams play defense like this. I don't even know half of the names, to be honest with you, on this defense. Just watching the play, made me kind of smile because it was like a cool concept by Washington. All right. You got a Y hide concept with what looks like a zone read by Wentz. And he correctly reads it, if you ask me, to keep the football. Frontside inside linebacker takes away the hide concept. They're locking someone up here. The safety has spun down outside the corner. That's one of the things, again, that trips me out kind of about he's an inside corner. He's an outside corner. He's a safety. On this play, this is an outside corner. But when this wheel develops here, the safety takes him. The safety becomes the outside corner, and the outside corner becomes the inside corner. They're just a corner. They just play defense. They just have technique. It's too many designations sometimes that kind of put people in boxes. You have to be multiple. You have to be versatile. I felt like this was an example of the Bears defense being connected, moving in unison, and being very versatile. Let me know what you guys think of this play. If you'd like to see me explore more plays like this in detail or in depth, let me know. I usually want to keep these to about 5 minutes, but I felt like this one was due a little bit longer analysis because of the nature of the formation that you can still see was bunch up top to one side, 3 receivers to one side. And then post-snap, once you get the motion man through and the H-back or tight end running the hide concept down here, it ends up being 3 receivers down to the bottom side. So drastically changed the nature of the threat of the formation post-snap, well, with the motion and then post-snap, and the Bears were able to recognize it and handle it through really high awareness by their players and some pre-snap communication and physicality. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comment section.